Go live. Mr. Peter Schaefer, we're live on the Field to the Deal podcast. Peter Schaefer, super agent with CJ Anderson on his way. Scott McLuhan, our GM extraordinaire, is on assignment at the Senior Bowl, talking to players. But Peter, question for you: it's bye week for the Broncos. Did your players in the past that you worked with, did they like the later bye week towards the end of the season, or when do they want their bye week?
You know, it's an interesting question. I think that the players want bye weeks. I think they want it earlier. You know, if it's this late in the year and you've got momentum going, you don't want to stop.
Okay.
And right now the Broncos have a lot of momentum going, and I think that of course they don't want to think negatively, but to a player you really want to have it sometime in October. So it used to be that the bye weeks before we went to 17 weeks were mostly in October for most teams, and that was only because TV, because you had the World Series and had a bunch of other stuff that TV properties that can go on. But now that you have 17 games, you have to have buys throughout the whole year, because it's hard with 17 games, and so now you're having it in week 15, week 14, and it's crazy.
Yeah, no, I like what you're saying about the momentum of a team, especially with a young quarterback in Bo Nix, and what's that do for him? What about having having a Monday night game going into a bye week? You kind of lose a day on your bye. You feel like you're cheated out a little bit there if you're a player?
Well, no, the NFL is trying to do that to give a little bit more rest to the players. They're trying to give the bye week after the European trips, or they're trying to, or the bye week going into a Thursday night game, so that players aren't playing on 4 days rest. They are trying to work bye weeks into the schedule as to maximize rest.
Okay, so rest is the big deal.
Yeah, right. And when you go on the bye, it used to actually be the coaches would sit there and say, okay, let's practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and just give you the weekend off. Mm-hmm. But Sean, they were out of there after Monday. And I think that's sort of a coefficient of the fact that it is so late in the year. The players need to have rest, and to some extent the coaches too.
That was gonna be my next question. Is at some point, when do the coaches start burning out, or because they work 120 hours a week, it feels like.
Yeah,
plus.
So Sean gave them off Tuesday, and they were all out. It was a cannonball run. It was definitely a cannonball run. And these guys do grind, and they've been grinding since August 1st.
Yeah,
but this is there. But and then you sit there and from a fan's perspective, there's less games on Sunday, but still there's some great games.
There's a ton of great games.
And really, the Broncos, when you look at it, and they sit there, okay, who's playing? Even though they're not playing, they're going to be games that are going to affect them this week.
Yeah, let's talk about the Broncos last week. I'm curious to get to CJ when he gets in here on his thought. He's probably finishing up a paper for his master's right now. But last week, Monday night game, Bo Nix throws 2 picks, but Jameis Winston throws 2 pick sixes plus a bonus pick. How are you thinking about Bo Nix after his Monday night primetime performance?
Well, I think that Bo Nix really made a lot of great throws. He managed the game very, very well. I think the Broncos still have to, in order to help their defense, they have to be able to run the ball and make the game shorter. When you really do an analysis or an analytical assessment of the Broncos, when their defense has played 55 to 60 plays, they're much better off than when they played 75 to 80 plays. And that's not just the defense not making plays, but that's also the offense shortening the game. So when you're a defensive coordinator and you have 30, 35 plays at your beck and
sorry for the party.
Do you have a note from the teacher on why you're later?
There are no notes. It's $500. He knows it.
Ooh, that's what we get hit with. Family issues, baby. Family issues, baby. Sorry.
It doesn't matter. It's still $500.
Hey, I was with you. Don't forget this. I was with you when your world was shook, when your kids had cancer. You stopped the ball for a little bit. So I got some family issues. Yes, you did. I was there, Pete. You can't say you didn't. You can't say you didn't take 48 hours to yourself before you got back to work. Now, I'm not saying I was late. But this was a family issue that I had to get taken care of before I jumped on. That's all I'm trying to say.
Maybe with Lillian when she
got definitely. Sick, and I'm talking about Lily, not Gavin.
Right.
I'm talking about.
We don't care about Gavin. We don't love Gavin. We love Lillian.
I remember the words you said with Lily. Like, I've done all this, and you got some. Quote. I quote Peter Schaefer on this. You got some smart ass doctor that's telling me my baby girl got cancer. What you talking about? Right. I seen it. Right.
Well, right. What I'm saying, right.
We're glad Lily is living well. But I just had a family issue to take care of with my nephew, man. It's big. My nephew, Pete, you had teenagers. My nephew's in the rebellious stage towards his father, and it's a whole bunch of stuff in that. Towards my brother.
Well, I do want to make it clear, though, it wasn't with Gavin.
CJ, how come every time you show up, Peter legs out? Like, what are you doing to him?
I don't know, man.
I'm fine. I had adjusted the computer. I'm just saying that with Gavin, he had to deal with it himself. We couldn't slow down.
Right. That's right. That's absolutely. And we was there for
he was on his own.
Yeah.
Hey, CJ, talking about Monday Night Football, Broncos, Browns. What are your initial thoughts of Bo Nix after a primetime performance against
a better
than advertised Cleveland team?
He played solid. It's some throws he got away with. Like the 93-yard touchdown throw should have been intercepted. Like that should have been the other way. It's definitely some throws he got away with, but he played extremely well. Obviously, Broncos sitting at 8-5. I think my ceiling was 8, right? Yeah, so
I think that's what you said.
Yeah, so they can bust the ceiling that I said, but the Broncos is playing really well. Bo played really well that night. Defense, obviously they gave up more points than they want to. Gave up 500 yards almost to Famous, but Famous is going to throw you 2 pick sixes. That's what Famous does. I love Famous to death, but he going to throw you the ball. But I thought that overall as a team, they won a game that they needed to win, that they were supposed to win because who they were playing in that 3-game stretch, which is this is the last game of that 3-game stretch. They're playing another team that they should beat.
Yeah, no, I thought it was important for Bo Nix, even though the Broncos defense gave him 14 of those points. This is kind of being a shootout a little bit to sort of, go back and forth, to trade blows where it wasn't like you just keep gaining on a lead. It's like you got to go do it again. You got to go do it again.
Yeah, and I think the best part about that is, every possession matters at that point. Every possession means something at that point. And I think Bo got to play in that game and know what that experience feels like, understanding that even though our defense is playing well and they got us 14 points, right? It doesn't mean that, you saw what Jerry Dede did. He went for 230. The other side of the ball is actually playing just as well as well, right?
Yep.
Like you see the difference of the turnovers. The turnovers are timely. So, you can do these things, but the turnovers is timely. So I thought they played well. I thought they did a good job, and it'd be fun to see what they do this week.
With your DC hat on, how much do they miss Riley Moss?
Oh, that was almost catastrophic how much they missed Riley Moss. And I'm not saying Riley Moss is Patrick Surtain, but they definitely missed him. The interesting part about the concept of a pick six is that when you have a pick six, defense has to run. They ran about 90 yards, and they go right back on the field. If you tackle them at the 20-yard line and give the offense, 4 or 5 minutes to score, then the defense gets a break. And on the flip side of that is, Jameis Winston, he throws that pick six. He gets to go right back in the field and try to remedy it. Get the mojo back, whatever you want to do, you go right back. So there's a little pro and a con to a pick six now.
Unless you Coop. I remember we had a pick six. Coop told Joe D, our special team coordinator, I don't know who it was. It could have been Norwood. It could have been Jordan. I can't remember who, but tell whoever to go down with a cramp and stay out there for an extra 3-4 minutes so we can get that rest. So I've learned that as a coach. I have stolen that in my coaching career. I've had some pick sixes, and I've told.
Is that the coach spilling water on the side of the court in basketball?
Kids, hey, you go down, and we'll give you the okay when they get up when our guy is caught his breath.
Is that the coach in basketball spilling a Gatorade on the bench on the court? Like, oh, sorry, ref. I just caught low blood sugar. I'm a little shaky.
I learned that from Kubiak. If the Broncos would have did that, then I'd be like, oh yeah, they pulling that. But I learned that from Kubiak. Obviously, that year in 2015, Pete, our defense was phenomenal, and we had a lot of turnovers. And every time we had a turnover in the end zone, the next special team play, you'll see us down. getting hurt, so we can catch our breath.
Does the league ever catch on to that and start sending out FedEx?
No, they never caught on. So hopefully, I ain't just tell on other coaches who might be using that. Kubiak's not coaching them. But
the coaches know. Speaking about the referees, my favorite part about a long pick six is watching the referees try to keep up with.
Try to keep up with it.
They're 55-year-old bodies. Their arms are moving, legs are moving, and they're not kept catching up. There's a little separation.
Right.
When it's a pick six, you have the referee and the line or the head umpire, and they're behind the quarterback. Yep. So they're not the ones that are in a great shape. The guys in a great shape are the back judges because they're the ones that normally are running with the receivers. So now all of a sudden the field's flipped, and then you got the umpire and the referee have to turn, especially if it's 7, and they're going backwards, and they don't go backwards like it need be.
Do they have like a pre-draft camp for the referees, like where they're doing their measurables and stuff like that? We're like, hey, we're looking for a few new referees.
They're in shape though. They're much better shape than they were 20 years ago. Yeah. They're not hockey refs. No. Even when you watch basketball now, all those basketball refs are jacked now too.
The basketball refs are like,
all the games are broadcast. They know it. They're trying to put like a sponsor on their bicep or something like that.
Yeah, the basketball refs are like involved with like crazy, like they can get fouled and finish. Like that's how they look.
I think that but the Broncos, where they're sitting right now, is much better than anybody thought they would be. And then when you look at the schedule, and they got Indianapolis coming up, and they got some teams coming up in the schedule, I think they're saying they're in the playoffs, and if they can win 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, they can move up from the 6th seed, to their 7th seed to the 6th seed, maybe even the 5th seed. Because what's going to happen is, everybody's talking about the AFC North and 3 teams, but they play each other. Those 3 teams are going to be knocking each other. The Steelers are going to play the Ravens, and all that. They're going to start knocking each other out. And I want to segue. We'll talk about it a little bit. I don't know if you guys watched the Hard Knocks AFC North.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but so the Broncos, they have the Colts coming up, must win. Then they're going to go Chargers. Bengals at that time could be out, and the Chiefs could have the bye. So conceivably, it really is going to come down to that Chargers game. Is almost a playoff game, and I believe isn't that a primetime thing? Yep. That's going to be Monday. 6:15. Yeah, 6:15 Monday. Yeah, or it must be a Thursday game.
Thursday night. Yeah.
Short week, playoff game, Thursday night. That's really going to be. We should already put it on there, and we got to do the podcast that night.
I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, I'm free. My last day of class was yesterday.
Let's go. Yeah, 1 semester to go. Dr. CJ.
Yeah, we working, man. We working. It's looking good. Hey, I got an A on my paper. I don't think I've ever got an A on my paper in my life. Excellent.
What? Hey, Rob. That might be the first day in the ironically, Anderson spelled an A. That might be the first day in the Anderson family history.
Absolutely.
Hey, Rob,
what about
Rob, do you know how a University of California student changes a light bulb? No. What's that?
How many it takes?
Yeah, or no. How do they change a light bulb?
I have no idea.
They have no idea. The teacher said it wouldn't be on the final.
That's
no
awesome.
idea out there. The West Coast nerds.
That's what we are.
Hey, CJ. Speaking of West Coast nerds and running back rooms, though, how concerned are you with the running back situation for the Broncos to actually make a playoff run, or say to get to the playoffs and make a playoff run?
I mean, you're gonna have to run the ball. I mean, the good thing about like Pete just said, right? Broncos trying to move up to the 6th or 5th seed. The good thing about that is you don't got to go to Buffalo in January, where you do need to run the ball, right? If you can go to Baltimore where it's cold, but you can still throw the football, right? Who's the 4th seed right now in the AFC? Someone who's going to win the South, Houston, right? Houston. You got to go to Houston and play in the dome. You can get away with that, right?
That's a good question. Here, let's start with this question: who would you most like of the options that are in the playoffs for the AFC? Houston. Who do you think the best option for them to play in the Houston?
Houston. I mean, they're CJ Stroud's not having a year that we expect him to have. Sophomore slumps. We've seen a lot of sophomore slumps in lifetime. D'Amico Ryan's defense is definitely not the same that it was a year ago. I don't know if that's because of pieces or injuries or those things. Now, Broncos got a problem stopping the run, and Joe Mix can have a hell of a day. That'll be a problem. But different than dealing with elite quarterbacks and elite run games, because, like, James Cook is playing out of his mind. We all know what Derrick Henry is doing, plus the top two quarterbacks over there, and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I think you want to go the Houston route.
I wanted to go to the Steeler route. I want to go to Pittsburgh.
I don't want to go to Pittsburgh.
I want the X Revenge Tour.
Nah, you don't want to go to Pittsburgh.
You don't want to go to Pittsburgh?
Defense is stout, bro.
You don't think all the DBs back there going, I'm going to get Russell Wilson. I used to get him in practice. Going to go get him now.
Oh, defense is just stout. Like, the defense is playing out of their mind. Have you seen Pittsburgh play? Like, the defense
I love watching Pittsburgh
out
play.
of their mind. And it's just hard to win in Pittsburgh. Pete will tell you the atmosphere, Pete, right, is electric crazy. It's just hard to win in Pittsburgh.
Especially in December or January.
Right. It is
Totally
hard
different.
to win in Pittsburgh in that time.
Totally different ball game. And I'll tell you something, and we want to talk about the idea about the football playoffs in college and, the extra 4 or 5 games. But I just think it's bad juju, bad comments sit there. I've been in a situation like, well, we want to play this guy, lose to play these guys. Anytime you don't mess, you play who they put in front of you.
Amen to that.
I agree with that. I just think it's kind of like which ones you kind of want. Would you rather see the better matchup? I think Pittsburgh. But I can see why CJ's saying
don't mess with the football gods.
All right, fair enough. CJ, how are you fixing the running back room for the Broncos?
I mean, if I was in there, I would have to know what they're being taught. Like maybe I would. For me, my reads will probably be different than the different coach reads because obviously I played the position. Now, obviously, I learned my reads from 2 different coaches who I respect, and I kind of combine those together. One of those coaches is now the running back coach with the LA Rams named Ron Good. And another one of those coaches is now the running back coach of the Miami Dolphins, which is Eric Studesville. And I kind of took what they taught me and mixed it in one, right? And I think it's been super helpful. I think that's one way to fix it is the reads. I think the second way to fix it is understanding the run game. Like, do Javonte and everybody else in the room understand fronts, understand what's supposed to happen, where the ball should go, where it can go, who's the pressure point on the block, like who has to make this block to make this play work? Do they understand the blocking scheme, right? The double teams, where that's off. Do they understand that? I would say no, because a lot of coaches don't teach it that way. That's something I learned from Stews. I would say no, because a lot of running back coaches don't teach it that way. And I think that helps the player when they understand what's going on and they can predict what's going to happen before it's going to happen. And then now they let the ability react when that does not happen, if that makes sense. So that's one way to fix it as a coach side. As the player side, I do think as a running back, and I don't know nothing about Javonte in the room. You got to put time in the film room, and I don't know how much time they actually put into the run game in the film room. I don't know if they've been taught that. I don't know if they know that, right? They could just be watching film when they're in the facility. You have to put that extra time, right? It's crazy because, like, in my class yesterday, it's a sports education class. We talk about sports and culture and different stuff. But I always bring that perspective of the difference between collegiate and pro and being a professional. And as a professional, you got to develop yourself, right? Pete can tell you, there's not too many coaches that's going to hold your hand at the pro level and to developing you into the player you need to be, different than college. At the pro level, you're a pro. You have to learn how to be a pro. And how you learn how to be a pro, you watch some of the vets in front of you, right? Like, I was blessed to play with Peyton and Champ Bailey, like seeing them watching film, how they watching film, breaking it down, etc. I don't know if that's going on in the running back room, if they're taking time outside of the building to be a pro. You got to be a pro at all times. Obviously, I had an agent who reiterate that and harped on that and told me that. Now, granted, that's my personality. I love watching film and stuff. But Pete, just during the week, will ask me questions, what's going on in the game, especially when I became a starter. What's going on with the game plan, how is this player person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That big TV that Pete has behind him Pretty sure it's still there.
Which one?
That's where he gets all his film. He still watches his film. Me and Pete watched a lot of film there. But
that's
Pete,
how he keeps his tan up, by the way.
But what I'm saying is, along with the players I play with, Pete also taught me how to be a pro. The question is the Bronco running backs room, because you'll get better in the run game if you can understand the run game if you're watching the tape the way you're supposed to watch the tape. Are they doing that? I don't know, because I'm not in the building every day with them.
Well, the other thing
those are ways to fix the run game.
But the other thing I would say about fixing the run game is you have to commit to it.
Yes.
You have to sit there and say, and committing it is not calling it on Sunday. It's, having the and CJ can explain to you about sort of how practices are organized. They have periods, run periods, pass periods, offense period, defense, and a little bit different in the pros than in college, because in the pros, when you have 53-man roster, everybody sees training camp. You see the defense on one side and the offense on the other. It's hard to do that during the season because you just don't have the bodies.
Yep.
And so, if the offense is working on stuff and they want to work on pass, third down pass, whatever, you got to be committed to that. You got to be doing it in practice. We're going to run outside zone. We're going to run outside zone. Then, you got to be committed to that. And it's hard as a offensive play caller if all of a sudden in the first quarter you run and it's 2 yards. And then, you have your 2nd and 8, and so you pass, and mercifully you get a first down, and then you run it, it's 2 yards. And now all of a sudden you're calling all these 2nd and 8 plays, getting your first down in the first quarter. And I think a lot of times the coaches at that point sit there and say, well, we're not going to stick to the run. And I think that's what happens a lot, a great deal, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and another thing on that, just to piggyback off that, like when you see like Green Bay or Detroit, and it's usually the O-line coaches like Rico. Like obviously I play with Rico. Pete knows Rick Dennison. Pete knows Rico really well. The physicality and individual, right, helps with that run game as well. So like what the O-line is working on in individual and in pods and different periods like Pete is talking about, is continuously working on that run game so the run game can flourish where Kubiak can trust the outside zone, Arian Foster back in the day, or myself, etc. And our coaches committed to that, right? Is there individual time or that pod period time? Is it all towards the run game or is it towards different things? Obviously, we don't know. We're not at the Broncos practices every day.
How many touches in a game would you want where you could normally start saying how you feel in the game? Like Peter was saying, like they get frustrated if you're only getting 1 or 2 yards of carry in the first quarter. But like, how many do you need before you start going, look, I'm about ready to break one?
About 8 or 9 for me. Because now I got a good feeling. I know where things is going. I know what runs we're gonna call, and it's a frequent 8 or 9. Like I can look at like we played Kansas City in 2014. It was super cold. I think we opened up first 7-8 plays. I got 6 carries. The game before that, Miami, right? I got 9 carries, but my very first start against the St. Louis Rams. They were the St. Louis Rams at the time, LA now. I had 9 carries in the whole game. We literally opened up the first 5 plays. I got 5 carries in a row. Right? It was 9 and 2 and 8 and 6 and then 7, and it was like, all right, we can run the ball today. So I think it's that. But like for me, like if I get 8 or 9 in a sequence, a lot of teams script their first 15 plays. And I used to tell Stools and tell myself in these first 15 plays, I need all the runs. So if it's 6 or 8 runs in those first 15, I need every run. So if you're gonna take me out to catch a breath, take me out on one of these pass plays. But make sure I get these runs so I can get the feel.
It's sort of like in basketball where they, you put a guy in with 5 minutes into the first quarter, and they say you do not take a shot till you've been up and down the court 3 times.
Right, you've been up and down the court 3 times. Warm up, right?
No, I tell my guys that too. It's like it better not be the first time you touch the ball. It's the first time you shoot.
First time I saw first shot, he shoot off the side of the backboard over the air. He's like, bro, you're not even warm.
I want to talk though. So here's been my theory all week. I want to talk about the college football playoffs.
Yeah,
so you have Georgia playing
Texas
tomorrow. Okay,
in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, in Atlanta. But if Georgia loses the game, or Texas loses the game, whoever loses that game, they do not get a bye. So the loser of that game would have to play 5 games to win a national championship. All right, Ohio State, everybody's panicking. Oh, they got beat by Michigan. I think that helps them. They now get a bye.
Yeah, they're in.
Yeah,
we know they're gonna be in.
They're in, and they got to bye this week. All right. So let's say Ohio State had won the game, then they go out there and they play Oregon and lose to Oregon. That means they would have had to play 5 games with no bye to win a national championship. Then you have this thing that I also have a theory is that all these players, especially some of the teams have a lot of guys going to the show. All right, more than others. Alabama doesn't normally has the 5 or 6 first round. They don't have that this year. But Georgia's loaded, Oregon's loaded. Are these kids really going to want to play 4 free football games? And I know it's for the glory of the university and all that other stuff, but from my perspective, from the agent's perspective, these guys are all talking to agents and financial planners and car dealerships. I've been on the halls of those bowl games where they come from practice at 5 o'clock, and you see all the brochures out there, the car brochures and the training brochure, and they got the Senior Bowl starting in 6 weeks. They might have to play 5 games and then go to the Senior Bowl.
5 games, then go into the Senior Bowl practice. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. And then think about this. And so let's say you play those 5 games, go right to the Senior Bowl. When are you going to train for the Combine 4 weeks later?
And what if you're talking about some of these top guys that are going to these award ceremonies too?
Well, there you go. I'm just telling you, at some point, it's great for the fans and all that other stuff and March Madness. But, and I don't want to jinx anybody, but Jaden Smith, remember when he hurt his knee, Notre Dame? And, I mean, that just spooked everybody playing in bowl games.
Jake Butt.
What's that?
Jake Butt is another one, right? Hurt himself in the bowl game.
And I'm just saying that, at some point, I think the players, and I'm not saying anybody's going to, not show up to the bowl game or the college playoffs. So everybody's going to play. But it's really hard to sit there, and I analogize it to when you're a player in the NFL and you're playing on your last year, waiting, rookie year, as CJ did, trying to get your big contract. Okay? I had a player once, Rudy Johnson. He played on his 4th year on a franchise tag, and if he had a big year, we were going to, ring the bell. He makes the Pro Bowl, and I'm like, dude, you can't play in the Pro Bowl. Oh, I want to, so dream come true. So we just, basically avoided 16 buses trying to hit you for the whole season.
Right.
Right. I mean, every time, I wouldn't even watch the games. The only thing I wanted to see is the victory formation at the end and see Rudy standing upright. Right. Not like your dog there taking a nap behind you, Rob. I mean,
I know, right? That's Freckles. That's their old napping spot. So she comes down here from time to time.
But to sit there and I want CJ to say what the mindset has to be able to play those games, knowing that you're one hit from here, you got to still play, you got to play hard, boom, boom, boom. And I'm telling you, it's not as easy as people think it is.
I would say this though, Pete. If I was like, obviously, when I met you, I already fired my first agent, right? We met after the combine. I had a solid combine. Would I had a better combine? I actually had a good combine. Would I have had a better combine if I was with you? Probably. But
the answer is yes. If you were with Peter to start, you would have had a better combine. It's not a maybe.
Well, I mean, I was the quickest running back. I mean, I was one of the strongest. I had a good combine. But anyway, I would have had some meetings and stuff set up for me, though, for sure. Pete would have done that for me. But anyway, I guess what I'm saying is, obviously, when I met Pete, I was in a different spot. Like, my draft grade was even 4th round undrafted. Pete, if I was Barry Sanders, would Barry Sanders need to play in the Senior Bowl?
No.
And I guess that's the question I would. Right. So when I think of, like, some of the high picks.
Travis Hunter, Sanders.
Why would I he's committed to the East-West Shrine game.
Right, but what I'm saying is, why? Well, now obviously they're not in the playoffs, so he playing a bowl game and he got way more time than these kids that's in the playoffs. Correct. What I'm saying is, if let's just say, I don't know, I don't think he's gonna be a high pick or whatever, but like Jack Sawyer, a linebacker from Ohio State, right? Or you want to take,
but Jack Sawyer has got to run. He's got to run fast.
Yeah, or you want to take Carson Beck. Like, when I know your deficiency, like Jack Sawyer's got to run fast, then I don't need to play in the Senior Bowl. Once this college season is over, I'm getting straight to the combine prep so I can run fast. Or like Carson Beck, I need to get straight to the quarterback coach so I can do different things. I probably don't need to go to the Senior Bowl because my film does speak for itself, and now I need to go work on my deficiencies. I'm not going to be able to work on my deficiencies coming off playoff football. I'm just not. So
how much does a draft grade really?
I would think you as an agent will advise that to me. Like, we don't need to go to this. We need to go work on this.
Correct. There might.
Well, now, I don't know. Every agent is advising out there. You one of the realest agents. I mean, yeah. Like, obviously, I've had 2 agents. I fired an agent who was a liar, and I got with a real agent. You one of the realest agents I know. So.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is, every player is going to be different, and how many games they've played. These guys are all beat up right now. They get 1 week off, but some guys aren't getting the week off now. And at some point, we're having conversations with our players that we're going to be hopefully signing, as soon as their seasons are over, and talking about nutrition now. But you can't be really. They got to focus on the game, and then they can't be working on their 40 right now. They can't be working on a lot of stuff because they are focused on these games. And I'm just telling you, 1 game you could focus, 2 games. Can you get these guys to focus for 4? Some of them 5 games.
No, we know Scott always wants to see like the last 3 or 4 games against good competition when he's looking at guys to put a draft grade on them. So how important is like these like postseason like Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine game? How much film are agents or GMs looking at those games? Or are they just looking to see how well they get coached by other coaches? Like, what are they looking for in those games more than ability?
Well, they're
the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, like the Senior Bowl, the Shrine game stuff.
It's from what I heard, and people probably can say this. It's not more about the game; it's more about the week.
Correct.
Okay.
And the preparation for practices, how you practice, how you prepare for a game, how you retaining information that they're giving you, which is high level. It's are you doing good during the week? And and then if it transferred to because everybody don't get the same amount of snaps. You're trying to play everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not really worried about the game. Are you executing the things you need to execute during the week? And then are you executing your reps during the game? But it's more about the week than it is about the game. From what I've been told.
Are you coachable through pain? Put you in different spots. We'll take a 3 technique, make them a 4-eye, take a running back, 1-on-1 pass pro. There's a lot of stuff that they're working on. And, for a quarterback, we throw you a brand new playbook. Can you assimilate it that week? Are you the one that, if you got 3 quarterbacks in each team, which one is the alpha male? Who's taking charge? We're switching up the cadence, green 80, all that stuff. And that's why, those games matter as part of the whole scouting process. So, no, you don't have to play in the game at all. But, and I tell guys all the time, I got invited to Senior Bowl. I said, well, that's great. But understand this, the Senior Bowl's got 2 things. Either you're going to go up or you're going to go down. Because if you go down there and you're the 4th ranked running back and you have a great week, well, that means you're the 1st ranked running back. Well, that means everybody went down. So it's the stock market down there. And so you've got to go there prepared. And there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. And if you only have 2 weeks, do you do it? And I think that's and we're interjecting logic and reasoning into this discussion. Not every agent's going to be doing that. A lot of it's going to be self-serving to themselves. A lot of the times the players want to hear, you're so good, you don't have to go to the Senior Bowl. Oh, my God. And they want the agent, I'm going to go with that agent because he thinks I'm great because I don't have to go to the Senior Bowl.
No, absolutely. Hey, by the way, I got a complete random fact for you, CJ. Kind of what we're talking about here. I figured out what Peter's password is. It's Spider2Y Banana. In case you're wondering what his password is for his Netflix account, like when you're trying to watch the game on Christmas, Spider2Y Banana.
CJ, you do like the shirt, right, CJ?
Love the shirt. Great play call too. Great play call. It's not just that. You don't want to hack Pete's Netflix account. You want to hack his email. There's some things in that email.
Hey, so speaking of like postseason, like Prime said Travis and Shedeur were going to play in the bowl games. Last I heard, he's still standing by that. Was he saying that though, with the implication that he thought they were going to be in the playoff? If they're playing in a non-playoff bowl game,
they're playing. No, he was saying that no matter what bowl game.
Okay.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I think with Prime as an old school guy in this new day and age, it's like finish what you started.
Mm-hmm.
Like finish with your brothers and finish with your teammates. You only get this college experience once. Like truly finish that. Now, like Prime, if you just want to go to the combine and run the 40 and walk out the door, you can do that.
Right?
Like I think
no. It's not just running the 40; it's running the 40 and 4.29.
Right. But
Yeah,
I think
you run the 40 and 4.5, whatever, then you better do every other drill.
right. But I think what Prime is saying, like if Shador don't want to throw, like some of these dudes that don't want to throw at the combine, he want to throw at his pro day, he's gonna advise him, and he's gonna advise him differently there. But at least finish what you started when it comes to this. I think that's what he meant by that.
No, fair enough. Hey, since we don't have a Bronco game to predict this week, I was going to go down the college championship games to see what you think. We got tonight UNLV and Boise State. Boise's favored by 4.5 for the Mountain West Championship.
And they're at Boise, right?
It is at Boise, Albertson Stadium.
Did you hear what the quarterback said from UNLV? In a press conference, he was like, "Who is Boise? Where is Boise? What is Boise?" I was like, dude, Boise's been a solid program since like 2004. Like, he just turned them Bronco fans up tonight. The other Broncos, right? He just turned the Broncos fans up tonight. It's gonna be cold in Idaho.
32 degrees.
It's gonna be loud just because the quarterback came out and was like, "No one knows what Boise is. Who wants to go to Boise? Who knows about the program?" Like, dude. Like Doug Martin and Chris Peterson, that the program, like, you don't remember the Statue of Liberty beating Oklahoma? The program has been potent for a while now. I mean, quarterback dude is young. Obviously, he don't know a lot of football, but when he said that, I was like, ooh, he finna walk into enemy territory and really get the feel of what Boise is like.
Hey, I know this is one of Peter's favorite questions, CJ, but like with trash, have you ever trash talked before a game or before an event and then regretted it?
Nah. I wasn't a big trash talker. Two, Pete was a good job of keeping me tame if I did get upset about something, but nah, that wasn't me.
Okay. Hey, Peter, who you got for the Mountain West?
Well, it's interesting to me if, people with the short memory that we all have in our lives now forget that after week 3, the UNLV quarterback begged off so he could transfer because he was the man. Well, clearly, team was pretty good.
That's right.
Because the other guy came in and they didn't miss a beat.
Absolutely.
So, it's going to be interesting what happens with that guy. I forget his name right now because clearly it wasn't him.
That, you know what? That's an interesting thought because I saw something just today with the same thing with USC and Caleb Williams leaving. Like, how good was Caleb Williams? Well, he left USC and they struggled this year. It's like when a player leaves an organization, like look at Cincinnati and Joe Mixon leaving. Look at things like that. When a key player leaves, how valuable was that?
Well, or when when a person who's perceived to be a key player leaves and they don't miss a beat.
Yeah.
And really the poster child for that is Kansas City Chiefs because they just keep losing receiver after receiver after receiver and they don't miss a beat. And when
they lost Tyreek Hill, everybody was tripping, and then he goes out and have an MVP season without Tyreek Hill.
Right. So
what about even the enemy?
I heard
what's that?
So the reports on EB, he was only supposed to be there to get Deshaun Foster going. He wasn't only going to be there for a year or two anyway. They were going to mutually part ways, and he was going to pursue other opportunities to get back to the NFL. He just knowing Deshaun Foster and who it is, at least from what I've gotten. I ain't telling you like this is from no source or nothing, but what I've gotten, he was only supposed to help Deshaun, like as a head coach, put some things together, understand what it is, and then he was moving on. He wasn't staying there for no lifetime OC type gig, as Deshaun will stay there for a long time because that's his alma mater, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. All right, moving on. Okay, sorry, go ahead, Peter.
So with regards, Boise State is clearly has had a dominant year. They've had a really nice year. They got the great running back, might be the best running back in college football, but that UNLV. And
we lost him.
Lost who?
Yeah, there you're back. You're back.
You're back.
All right, I'm saying the UNLV coach done a heck of a job. I think UNLV pulls off the upset.
Ooh, I'm taking Boise.
Yeah,
I like home teams.
Our boy is 341 yards away from beating Barry's record.
He gets close to 250. I'm going out there putting on a helmet.
So I'll just tell you, if they want him to beat the record, Boise has to win this game. So at least he has the opportunity to rush for another 150 next week.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, American Athletic Championship, Tulane and Army at West Point.
Oh, at West Point? Tulane. I thought Tulane had the home game. It's at West Point. The soldiers going to be out there. America going to be out there for Army. And that triple O is just tough to deal with.
Oh, man.
Well, I'll tell you. So, a couple things. So, I've played in Mitchie Stadium. We played lacrosse there.
Okay.
It's right down the banks of the Hudson River. You talk about an iconic venue, and like CJ says, those cadets are going to march in. Oh, but to have and that's what's pretty cool about these home playoff games. Boy, I think it's going to create iconic settings, and if Army can start that triple option and they start running the game, they're going to do just fine. I read an interesting article about Tulane, how they had brought in 2 quarterbacks this year, in the transfer portal. And by the end of camp, though, the kid, this redshirt freshman who's starting for him, had beaten them all out. And they're like, well, shoot, what kind of, how do, and everybody's like, you got to play these guys because you brought them in. And they want to play in that redshirt freshman. He's had a heck of a year. Now, of course, in the typical NIL world, part of the article was, well, he hired an agent, and now he's, wants to get paid all this money. And I haven't studied him, just because he's having a great year. I don't know if he's an NFL-worthy quarterback or whatever that stuff is, but it is an interesting dynamic. He did beat out 2 transfer portal NIL guys.
Huh.
And with that all being said, let's go Army.
I think Army having a home game in this atmosphere at this time is something that Army has probably never had. And I think what P's saying, like the venue is good. The venue is dope. I've seen the venue before. Never played in it, but I've seen the venue. The venue is dope. The cadets will definitely be out there. Obviously, Tulane has the better athletes with that triple O, and the quarterback is playing really well. And it's cold. It's cold out there at this time of year too. Now it ain't cold in New Orleans. It's cold out there in West Point at this time of year. But I like the cadets, man. The cadets gonna be riled up, man. I like Army at home. That game should be rocking tonight.
Absolutely, like you said, go Cadets.
And I don't understand. Again, I don't understand. They're both on at 8:00 Eastern, 6. Why didn't we stagger the times?
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I don't know if college football TV contracts are set up like the NFL. Like they go after their, like from what at least I know, like most of these, well, American don't have their own network, but like some of these power, like SEC network, ACC network, like some of these have their own networks, but then some of them, like there's not just a Fox, CBS, NBC.
No, right now
they all schedule it a certain way, like they do in the NFL. So I don't know how they attack these TV deals, to be honest.
Yeah, Boise's on Fox and Army's on ABC tonight. But again. Let's get together and stagger. Now, it's not a big problem for me because I got 2 big screen TVs right next to each other, so I'm fine. I was saying about you other people,
all us normal people, all us minions. Right. So going into Saturday, 10:00, Iowa State and Arizona State in Arlington, the Big 12 championship. CJ, who you got?
I love what Dillingham is doing, man. Arizona State.
Arizona State's favored by 1.5, by the way.
They playing ball, and Iowa State, right? Coach, I think his name was Campbell, right? Coach Campbell over there doing this thing. He's had good teams before, and when he has good teams, he's also executed on those things. So I think that's a close game. I probably might go with Iowa State though. Iowa State win Big 12 for me.
So here's the interesting thing about this game. This is a playoff game, and it's not just. It's just not the Big 12 playoff game.
Yeah, the winner's in, the loser is out. Absolutely.
Yeah, winning in and losing go home. Not go home, but go to the Independence Bowl or whatever. So, I mean, there's a lot more to that. In a lot of these other games we're about to talk about, the loser's still in the playoffs. This one, the loser's out because I think it's 15 versus 16. Yep. So, and they're both 10-2. This is about as even of a matchup as you're going to get all day tomorrow.
It's the closest spread, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game, and I do think that coaching matters. That's why I'm going to go with Iowa State.
2:00 ABC, Georgia and Texas playing in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Texas is favored by 2.5. CJ, who you got?
I think Kirby and them are desperate. I got UGA. I think it's going to be hard to beat Texas twice. I think Texas win or lose, Texas is in.
I'd assume so at 11-1.
Right. Georgia cannot lose, or they won't be in. So I think Georgia, like, obviously, I love Sark. I love what it is. I think Sark is going to do some game plan and some different things, but I think Kirby is going to be on it. Kirby will have his boys wilding up. They've been here before too. But I think because of the desperate, kind of like what Pete was saying with Iowa State and Arizona State, like winning you're in. I think that winning you're in to reach the goals that Georgia talks about every year because they're that type of program. This is the first stepping stone. It's hard to beat a team twice, but I do think they make it happen. I got Georgia winning the football game and getting into the playoff, and then let's see how that works.
Well, I think Georgia's in even if they lose.
Really? I don't. That's tough though. I can see that. I'm not saying I can't. I mean, I'm kind of upset with the committee. I have a reason. I'll talk about it at the end when we have our final thoughts. But that's interesting.
Right. So, but that's number one. But number two, think about this. It doesn't matter who wins or who loses this. These guys conceivably could play for the third time this year.
Yeah.
Arguably could be the best. These two teams, and when have you ever had a team play three times in the same year in college football?
Right. I also think, but I do think this. I think Texas is the better football team. I think Texas is one of the best rosters in the country. And
they got the best roster.
And Texas is a damn good football. It's going to be a lot of NFL dudes off this. Well, there's a lot of NFL dudes on both sides of the ball. There's a lot of NFL dudes that's coming off this Texas roster this year for sure.
Okay, so I got to ask a self-serving question because if Georgia's out, the Arizona-Iowa State's a playing game for it. Well, let's get to the ACC game on ABC at 6:00, SMU versus Clemson in Charlotte. Because if Clemson wins, they're in, and probably SMU is probably going to be in even with a loss. I'm selfish because I want my Hurricanes in that are right now the first team out. I need like one of these teams like Georgia to drop out or SMU to beat Clemson to make sure there's an opening chance for my Hurricanes to have just some hope to make the playoffs.
I don't think if SMU loses, they're in. I think they're gonna hit SMU like they hit Miami, straight to schedule.
If Clemson, so you're saying we got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, my problem with the committee is the strength of schedule BS, right? And they already say the Big Ten and the SEC is the big two powerhouses. So why do we have other power conferences if you're not going to respect the ACC and the Big 12? I understand Alabama 9-3. I understand some other teams that are 9-3. Ole Miss, South Carolina, they're 9-3 too. Why are they not in? Right? These kids want to play in the NFL, right? That's just true.
Absolutely.
These kids want to play in the NFL. So make it NFL. You lose, you hurt. If my record is better than yours, it's better than yours. Right? Only time it happens if it's head-to-head. You think the Buffalo Bills don't want to be the number one seed? Of course they do. But if the Chiefs go 15-1, they ain't going to be the number one seed because the record of the Chiefs is better. And that's just the truth. That's how I see the game. Keep it simple like that. Who gives a damn about strength of schedule and et cetera, et cetera? Play your games. Let the records play out. If you want the strength of schedule to matter, then mandate them playing each other and they don't play the FCS schools in the beginning of the season and they play.
Don't play two MAC schools to start the year off.
Right. You make a SEC like basketball, Big Ten and ACC classic. You make it classics where you got to go play those teams. That's the only thing I got with the college football playoff. That's kind of frustrating because am I getting on your? Am I stirring your rant up early? Bama being blown out to Oklahoma, losing to Vandy. You telling me Miami can't play with Oklahoma and Vandy? I get like losing to Texas or Ole Miss or losing like some of the top teams. Miami might struggle. Miami have a game, but if you don't think if Miami is playing their best game, they can't go beat Oklahoma at their A game. They can't go beat Vanderbilt at their A game. Like that's kind of how I see it, man. It's kind of. I'm a big NFL guy, right? Even though I want to coach college, I'm a big NFL guy, right? And I don't know if Pete agreed. Pete might have his own thing on it, but like, bro, if 10-2 is better than 9-3, 10-2 is just better than 9-3. That's just what it is. You can't and because these ADs can't control and they play on the schedule, then NCAA make it a classic where in the first. Because now you got these super conferences, so they're playing their conferences a lot. But you can make their conferences 8 games or 7 games, and you can schedule that how you want to schedule it. And then you play those other 5 or 4 games against other Power 4 conferences. You're not playing Group of 5 schools, not playing FCS schools, right? Like Texas didn't play Ole Miss this year, right? So how do we know that Ole Miss doesn't beat Texas and they're in the same SEC conference, right? Alabama didn't play Texas this year. You get what I'm saying? So it's like that. But hey, that's the playoff. That's the committee, right? That's what they think. I think they out of there.
I don't even think I'm going to even watch this game. This game just does not appeal to me at all.
Which one?
SMU
the
Clemson.
ACC?
SMU Clemson.
Dang, why you hating on the ACC? You sound like the committee. That's what we talking about.
Are you on the committee, Peter? Did we miss something?
Right.
I am the committee.
SMU is having a hell of a year. How do you not want to see if they finish the special year that they're having?
I'm just saying, I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me. The Georgia, Texas, I like to see the best against the best, but yeah, it doesn't appeal.
Speaking of one of the best versus the best, then what about Penn State and Oregon playing in Indianapolis, Lucas Oil, the house of Peyton built? 3.5-point favorite for Oregon, the highest favored team of the weekend, or the largest spread.
I never Jonathan Franklin has to win big games. I hate talking about coaches like that. But I respect. I like Oregon in his dub.
Just like Oregon.
I think Oregon's a class. I think they're the best team in football. Penn State's got some talent. That they got a defensive end. The quarterback's playing pretty well. It's this is 2 heavyweights. I probably would have rather see Ohio State, Oregon, but I do think it's going to be an interesting game. And you go out to the West Coast again. This is the new world of football. We have the Big Ten with 16 teams, and you got Penn State playing Oregon in the Big Ten championship
for the first time this season.
Correct.
Right? Because they didn't play each other. For some odd reason, you need 16 teams. They couldn't play Penn State versus Oregon versus each other.
By the way, I do like how they're just doing the overall standings, and it's the top 2 teams instead of having like the East and the West division or the leaders and the legends divisions.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I mean, that's what you get. I enjoy that. Top 2 teams make it, so you just it makes you focus on your league games a lot more, your division games a lot more, kind of like what you do in the NFL. So I think that's a solid, but I also think you take the records with it too, not no strength of schedule. Right, you're going to penalize Oregon for playing Boise State, but because Alabama plays the tough of the SEC, you're not going to penalize them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All I heard from this conversation is you're saying my Hurricanes have a chance still. That's all I wanted to know. So,
other question for what? And what's going to happen when they get in?
They're going to go play someone and have a chance.
When you're in, anything the story. When you're in, anything can happen.
I am looking forward to those 4 home games in the first round. I think that's just an outstanding concept. It's going to make for some iconic, let's say Alabama's got to go to Notre Dame. I mean, just iconic games.
I will say this though: those first 4 games and those first 4 games, the school's over. Is the students there? Like some of them go home.
They'll come back. They'll come back.
School is over. Are they waiting?
Have you met?
Are they waiting? Like I know right now on Cal campus, obviously Cal ain't playing for nothing. But I know right now on Cal campus, like I said, our last class was next week. The semester ends officially. Our last class was this week. The semester ends officially next week. And I know some kids that is getting out of there. So like are kids saying we gonna wait to go to this playoff game, or can I get home to mom and dad and everybody else?
What would you do?
Me?
Well, if I
I would probably stay.
What I would do?
That's an iconic moment. It's all about the college experience for me, so I will stay.
Knowing my finances when I was in college, if I was a kid and I had 2 tickets that game, I'd be selling them and going.
Right.
So that's you ask yourself that question at those venues. Are the students are going to show up? Because a lot of them, it's the end of the semester, they're so used to going home.
No, absolutely. But hey, so change the subject here on your CJ. Have you been working on your jumper at all? How's
I
your
ain't worked on my jumper in a minute, baby.
I mean, like the Nuggets need some help from the 3-point line and on their second squad. Like we first tried to put you behind the pipes for the Avs to get some goalie help between the pipes, whatever it's called, Peter. Now we need you behind the 3-point line, knocking down some shots with the second group.
Nuggets are struggling, huh?
I mean, at least with their second group.
Yeah.
Like when Jokic is in there, fine. If he could play every minute of every game, we'd go undefeated. But he needs a break.
Just tell the Nuggets to get in the tournament. That's it.
Right now they're in the play-in part of it. They're not even in the top 6.
They'll be fine.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the real tournament, not this bull trying to make us watch. I don't watch no basketball until they get closer to the playoffs. Like all this is irrelevant right now.
They're going
I couldn't even tell you what's going outside of my Kings. I couldn't tell you what's going on with the Nuggets right now.
Come on, CJ.
They're going to be just fine.
There's 82 games. All these games are damn near meaningless until it gets close to the playoffs. Like, I'm being honest. Like I said, outside of my Kings, who are 10 and 13 right now, we're struggling, right? Outside of that, because I'm a King fan, everything else, you know what I'm saying? We took a tough loss to the Grizzlies, and we actually played the Grizzlies really well with Ja getting objected. But outside of that, I like it's so, like I said, the Kings are 10 and 13. That's 23 games. That's so early. Talk to me around 60, 70 games. Then it's like I've been watching basketball. And I'm like, okay, I know what's going on.
That's fair. That's fair. Peter, you watching the Nuggets at all? You worried? You don't seem worried.
No. As long as you get in and you got Jokic, you got a chance.
That's a fact, too. He ain't lying about that.
That's fair. Hey, guys, CJ, as we wrap this up, do we take your thunder away with the playoff rant, or do you have another rant inside you? What's your final thoughts?
Man,
are you just glad to be done with school for a few weeks?
Well, I'm definitely down with that. Obviously, you know, like I said, I got the A on the paper. No really final thoughts this time around.
No final thoughts.
Watch football. And
what NFL game
watch
you
football. Game I'm looking forward to NFL wise. If you really want to know,
yeah.
Chiefs and Chargers.
That'd be a good one.
It's gonna be a strong game right there. Chiefs and Chargers is a one for me. That'll be that, and then obviously Cardinals Seahawks for that. Who's gonna win the NFC West?
That's fair. Hey, before we get to Peter's final thoughts, can I put my aluminum foil hat and like fantasy football idea in front of you guys to see if it would happen or could happen this offseason in the NFL? Because I'm the fan. You guys are the realists and insiders. I have this theory that if Jacksonville's got the number 1 pick, instead of picking Travis Hunter that they should, they're going to pick Sanders and try to trade Trevor Lawrence and get their salary under control again. Am I off? Am I crazy?
Yeah, the cap charge on trading Lawrence
so much dead money in Trevor right now.
Yeah, I think teams are going to see what the Broncos did to get out of their money situations with Russell Wilson. I'm like, hey, we can get rid of it too.
First of all, you have to have someone trade for him.
Yep.
Second of all, you have to sit there and say, what would someone trade for him? Are you going to give him up for 2? You going to give him up for 3?
Yeah, because the difference between him and Russell Wilson, he's not 35. This is a prime guy in his prime, right? He's supposed to be in his prime. What's Trevor, 26? I'm saying 26.
I'm calling up his contract. I'm calling up his contract right now. Hold up.
All right, he might be 25, 26, 20, like, come on, man. This ain't no old cat. This is a young cat. And it's a lot of dead money in that, too. Like a lot of dead money.
He's 25. He just turned 25 in October.
That's what I'm saying. 25 years old. You ain't giving up no 25-year-old for no third, second round, for no third, fourth round.
But like if you get Sanders, I mean they did it to Justin Fields.
Right, but Justin
Fields didn't get paid. Justin Fields, they didn't pick up his option. They let him go. It was on his rookie deal anyway.
I'm just asking who's going to trade for him.
Look, Raiders seem to find ways to do stupid things.
So you're counting on stupidity to make. All right, so Trevor Lawrence's contract.
First of all, are we saying Trevor Lawrence is bad? Are we saying Trevor Lawrence can't play quarterback in this league?
I think he's underperforming. I think the team like the Jacksonville Jaguars are probably frustrated with the season he had.
Yeah,
right,
but just a year ago he performed lights out though. What is that like? Before he got paid, he performed lights out.
Trevor Lawrence has got about $130 million in guaranteed money going forward.
No one's
All
trading
right.
for that
So
unless they believe in Trevor Lawrence.
What if you're the Raiders? What if like they're probably not going to trade him to Nashville or because in division?
But Brett, what are you going to get? Are you giving him up for a third or fourth round pick?
No, not at 25 years old.
Right, but who's going to trade? Who's going to give you more than that for him?
Right, on top of 133 million.
On top of taking 133 million guaranteed.
What about the Jets?
Woody not that dumb. Woody might be like tripping, but he ain't that tripping.
What about the Giants?
All right, so his dead money would be, if they were to trade him, it'd be $133 million in dead money.
That does not help your football team.
So you just can't do it right now because of the new
That
contract.
doesn't help your football team.
Yeah.
Like remember when Russell got traded, he had a year left, right? A year left on his contract, his final year.
Right, and are you saying that Shedeur Sanders is a guaranteed? I think Trevor Lawrence has got talent. I don't think you just give him up right away. You try to say, but with the contract, it's untenable. There's just no way to do it.
Okay.
A year ago, Trevor showed that he can play in this league. I don't know what's the disconnect between Mike McCoy and Doug Peterson and him. Even they fix that, or they bring in a new regime that's offensive minded, maybe young offensive minded, that makes Trevor play better. Like you don't think if Trevor was playing over there in Detroit, he can't do what Jared Goff is doing?
I think what you're going to see though is if Jacksonville does have that first pick, what they're going to do is they're going to try to create an auction, try to get max value.
Yeah.
Get someone to trade up like the Panthers did for Bryce Young.
Yeah, you could trade that first pick and get way more value.
They get more value and surround Trevor Lawrence, and might not be what they want to do, but because of the contract, that's how you're gonna make the best out of it.
Pretty sure that's what Scott would do.
All right. Yep. Speaking of also then guys moving around, CJ, you're trying to be a head coach. You might lose the North Carolina job to Bill Belichick.
That's fine. I have no problem losing the jobs to people I know that can succeed. I have a problem with people who have not been successful in one place and thinking they're going to be successful in another place doing the same thing. That's called Albert Einstein. That's called insanity. I have a big problem with that. Right? If you've been unsuccessful and terrible, unless it's like years gaps, right? Like if you've been unsuccessful and terrible at one place, and then you jump into another place. Example, I nothing against the kid. I don't know the man. I don't want to talk bad about him on the internet, but I'm about to do that. So this is all in respect, based on my analogy and based on all the evidence. Luke Getsy was an absolutely terrible offensive coordinator for the Chicago Bears. And then
that's not earth. That's not breaking news.
But no, what I'm saying is, and what did the Raiders do? They hired Luke Getsy as their offensive coordinator, thinking what he did over there a year ago with less resources, he's going to do better with Oakland. That's stupid. Or my bad, Las Vegas. That's stupid to me. I'm not in the business as a GM or as an AD. I'm not into the business of grabbing the guy who got fired to a place because he sucks and I'm bringing him over here thinking he's going to be better. That's retarded. Let some year, like if you years gaps it, like Pat Shurmur, right? Pat Shurmur was terrible as a head coach with the Browns. He went crazy, had some strong years, do a great job with Minnesota. Then he got another stint. But that was in an 8 to 7 year period, not like back to back like you see with some of these coaches.
Peter, any parting thoughts before we wrap this up?
I think as much as I think Coach Belichick is a fantastic football coach, I really, really enjoy watching him on TV. He's imparting some wisdom, and it's fun to watch. Just wow! Every time I turn it on, I learn something. I'd hate to see him not be on TV, just selfishly, just because I think he's fantastic.
He just had a second interview. He's having a second interview with North Carolina, so most likely the job might be his.
I think he's trying to put the demand up for his services.
He's got a demand. Don't worry about that. And I think that his father, all all those years. It's in his blood to be an educator. North Carolina school, great facilities. I could see Bill doing that. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm not saying nothing against Bill, but if the great Nick Saban retired because he was tired of how he do it, Bill got that stamina with these young cats. It's different in college now. Now, one thing I know about Bill gonna run it like the NFL, NIL, portal. He gonna run it like free agency. He gonna run it like the NFL. How we pay cats. That's where Bill get that knowledge. I don't think people understand that. He can control the NIL deals. Like, nah, you ain't worth that. You ain't worth this.
Oh yeah, no, he'll bring Scott Pioli or whatever, some great scouts in there. Don't you worry about that.
Right. So he gonna like his appeal is gonna be awesome. Are these kids ready for that old school type coaching though? Be interesting.
We'll see. It'll be fun to see. Guys, it's been fun.
We'll see you guys next week. Let's go.
Absolutely. Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Peter. Scott, we miss you.
See it right there, CJ?
Spider 2 wide banana.
Gotta love it.
The banana